The following stream contains mature content and subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
Long before the sects divided, there was the enveloping darkness. It was in this dark humanity learned to trust the light, to run from shadows, and most importantly, to fear.
Brutality and superstition walked hand in hand in this dark time, but also hope. Hope that the heroes of this age could hold back the monsters and illuminate the path through the shadows.
The children of Cain are no different. Some run from the shadows, some turn to the light, and some become the monsters of legend passed down from one hearth to another.
Their story is one of loss, one of struggle, and one of death. For what can survive in the wake of those that cannot die?
This is what it means to be a myth made flesh. This is what it means to be a vampire in the Dark Ages.
Good evening, everyone. I don't care if you set fire to 20 houses or not.
They were empty.
Everybody was in the streets.
No people were harmed.
Good evening, everyone.
In my fire.
Welcome to McStabber Studios, Vampire Dark Ages, Glimpses of History. I've been the storyteller for season 1, and I assume I'm storyteller for all the other seasons. Shanky McStabber.
And I am Mama McStabber, and in the stream I play Elena Thorendaughter of Clan La Sombra, who was also known as Olga of Kiev.
I am Zachary Naldrick, he, him. I have been playing Miguel Tanner of Clan Gangrel. I can talk. It's a real thing. I can say words and pronounce them correctly.
Korax got your tongue?
I'm so used to writing them that you gotta say them now.
It's weird.
It's weird.
Don't like it.
I'm Junie Vanish. I've been playing Peregrine McSullivan of Clan Essamite, who's been pretending to be Toreador, and it's been hurting my soul this entire season. Slowly and gently, I've been dying even more.
Just certain fucking dragons need to think you're a rose, that's all.
I mean, if I smell as sweet as one, why not? It just makes the knife even better when I sink it into him.
Makes a note for Micah Vikos to go sniffing at Peregrine. Got it.
I mean,
oh no, he's like sweet on Snatcher.
Oh yeah, he is.
Speaking of, let's finish our intros before we get crazy. Snatcher's turn.
Hello, I'm Maddox. I play Snatcher, the Nosferatu, and bluffer extraordinaire. I will hang my devil's luck on a fucking plaque and mount it on my wall with how lucky I was with that roll. So I'll always boost it.
I am so glad I was there for that. But hello, everybody. I'm the Ravnos Archon. I got to play Agustin de la Cruz of Clan La Sombra as well.
So in case you can't tell all the viewers, these Q&As are a lot more informal than our actual games.
You get to see us as we really are.
Yeah, you get to see
present ourselves to be.
You get to see the other side of the players when we're not, playing the game and committing war crimes. What you came into was me commenting that Ravnos Archon there ran a Star Wars game where 4 out of the 8 episodes got demonetized by YouTube. I will also say we had 4 or 5 of the Vampires Dark Ages videos demonetized by YouTube. So if you think we're making any money off YouTube, I got bad news for you. Not in the Dark Ages of Star Wars, we weren't.
Oh no, because it's brutal and there's war crimes happening based on modern standards.
So instead of making a whole, $25, we're making $13.
Ooh.
Geneva? Who dat?
Yeah.
Who dat? Who dat?
So, war
Girl I
crimes.
knew 400 years ago.
I wonder if this one will get demonetized because I said the word war crimes. We'll find out.
That is not fair. The Geneva Convention has not been created yet. It should not apply to Dark
It
Ages.
should not.
You're right.
Hey, maybe we'll be there to change a
And
few
Star
things.
Wars
Who
is a
knows?
universe far in a galaxy far, far away. So you know what? It shouldn't apply there either.
Geneva doesn't exist
Long
over
ago.
there.
I'd
Yeah,
rather
long
demonetize
ago.
than Disney claim it because you said the word Star Wars, okay?
That's true. That is fucking true.
I just love that somehow Star Wars is always able. Oh, nope, shit. Never mind. Reset. Continue. Ignore me.
So you're aware.
Easy, champ.
Mama McStabber here is going to be the moderator of this one as we go through it to pose questions.
If you've
Uh,
ever
if you're in
tuned
chat-
our Q&As,
You're cutting me off.
yes,
when
I
I'm talking.
am because I'm moderator. So if you've ever been to any of our Q&As, you know the drill already. But if you are new here, please use channel points at the bottom of your chat window. You should see what looks like a bubble or a circle
The bowling ball.
or whatever. It doesn't have 3 holes in it, but okay.
I didn't say it was a good bowling ball.
And then a number beside it. If you do not have that, then you are not one of our followers, and you should follow us to start earning channel points just for viewing. It literally, you can use those. It costs like 100 points to highlight your text, and I will do so you see what it looks like.
And she tries to read all of them, even if they're not highlighted, but highlighting makes it easier for her to find them. Some of us got way
question
too
ahead
many.
of that too, because some people will just highlight things just for fun.
Right. So I do scroll through and I even pause the chat on questions until we've answered them. So highlighting them makes them easier for me to see so that I know if I've done it or not.
Yep. So this is your chance as we're going through. You can ask anything you want of the cast. We're going to give people a chance to do that. But first, I'm going to open up with my own question right off the bat. Go right around the table. Did you have fun in season 1?
I'm going to be real. The vengeance edging was rough, but the satisfaction was worth it.
Just don't play such driven characters, and you won't be that way.
And there we go. We brought up edging and war crimes. Now we are getting demonetized. It's okay.
Do not read the
Demonetized. Let's get the rest out of the way while we're here. Blowjob.
But here's the funny thing. Ghost Hunters 2 was not demonetized. For those that watch Ghost Hunters 2, Bro Hunters, you should understand that was not right. That one should have been demonetized.
That was flagrant.
Yes. That was ectoplasm everywhere.
Yeah. All right. So that was my answer.
I mean, I'm still waiting for that true faith priest to come through. You got me all hoped and worked up for that. Just
More
mixing up blue
edging.
balls on that one.
More edging there.
Season 2.
To quote a famous line, I want some more.
That's a call quote.
It was all right.
It was all right.
Look, as the actual first time I've sat down tabletop style to play vampire instead of LARPing it, it's actually been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I
I've
like a
enjoyed
true
myself.
vampire game for myself.
We've been productive, I think.
And my comment on it is, look, I've never run Dark Ages, never played Dark Ages. This is my very first Dark Ages game. It's actually my very first V20 rule set game because I went from the first edition of Vampire straight to 5th edition. So I hope I've been doing it justice, considering I've never done this shit before. And my players did like my portrayal of a Korax. That's good because I don't play werewolf. I don't generally like playing werewolf. And I don't know a lot about werewolf, so apparently I've pulled it off even with my limited knowledge, so I'll take it.
The wiki page covers the basic idea of Korax pretty well, and you just play off of that.
I didn't even read that. I read the Werewolf Dark Ages book, which, by the way, is a total ripoff, because if you buy the Werewolf Dark Ages book, it wants you to have the Vampire Dark Ages book to go with it, because none of the fucking rules are in the Werewolf Dark Ages book. They're all in the Vampire Dark Ages book. What is this, Chronicles? Oh, wait, sorry.
Hey, World of Darkness,
comment.
been doing it all the time where you got to buy all the fucking books to play their shit.
Yep.
You look
True
at
facts.
the DLC model for video games and say, we can do that for printed stuff.
Yep, Paige, to highlight it, you should see a purple lined circle if you're in light mode with a number beside it. If you've been viewing our streams, it costs 100 of those points to click highlight my message, and you do that first and then type your message.
And if you can't, it's okay. Just, it's easier. Because sometimes we miss them when we're not highlighted because it's the way it is.
You're welcome.
So we still haven't gotten any viewer questions yet. So we can just, I guess somebody can talk around. Who else got questions?
Well, I know Junie has a question.
I have a question.
Yeah, you asked it before we streamed.
That was like what, 20 minutes ago? I do not remember.
Something
I
about
am so
fire?
sorry. Oh, how many times do we have to go through a fire? And how many people? Okay, no. The question was actually in season 2. Can we take the people outside the village and burn them and just save the village so we can rebuild?
I mean, that depends on what we
Please
do
and
with the
thank you.
village.
But sometimes
If
it
you
is
let-
easier just to burn and rebuild.
I mean, if you let Miguel, do his thing and run and set up a little religious quarter, there may be burnings of things.
No. We can't do.
We will not be burning
I'll be
witches,
in
thank
that
you.
One.
Inquisitors, maybe.
I said things.
Yeah.
Various religions
Witches were
burn
considered
various-
things back then.
You don't.
I see what he,
We're
I see what he meant.
We're still several hundred years away from when witch burning was a real thing.
You don't have to burn witches. What you got to do,
Witches.
if they weigh as much as a duck, they're a witch.
So if they float, they're a witch.
That's right. What also floats? Rocks.
No.
Float.
Yeah, if they drown, they were not a witch. It's obvious science.
And I have a
Obvious.
question. Will either Miguel or Snatcher ghoul the Korax?
No,
Ooh.
Okay.
no reason to.
Will the
I work with
storyteller
rats,
find a
and
way
I
to
don't
get
need
the?
shifters.
Will the storyteller find a way to get the Korax ghoul just to somehow force it on everybody?
No.
Yes.
So to dig into that a little bit more. So Miguel's kind of philosophy is that someone has to be willing to come in, or it has to be a life-saving thing, like with Johan. The horse doesn't count because it was a fucking horse.
And if you don't want the horse
The
to throw
horse
you
might
off every
disagree.
5 minutes, blood bond that
The horse,
bitch.
the horse was, by not throwing him off. Apparently, that's enough for him to consider that being consenting and to be willing part of the shit show that is being around vampires.
I mean, to be fair,
Did you ask the horse?
Horses straddle that too cute to eat, too edible line anyway.
Clearly, you haven't been to certain parts of Europe.
Obviously, I haven't seen some of the horses I did down south.
Clydesdale.
Yes, his sister Luminita was a willing subject to becoming a ghoul, and Johan was going to die. And
No, it
he
makes
might-
total sense for the
he might
character.
still have died. I don't see a situation where Longfellow is going, Longfeather is going to be
No, it
like,
was Long Wing.
yes,
Long wing, yeah.
Because he's got a long wing.
Long.
all right.
Whatever
Well,
his
maybe
name
he's-
is.
Well, maybe his great nephew might be Longfeather. You can keep that. You can put that in your cap, feather in your cap there.
Long
Yeah, it's
feather.
really long.
And then that one's child was Long Pecker. I'm done. Thank you. That's it. I'll be here all night.
There are so many different parts of a crow you can make long if you really need to keep
Oh my
going
god,
on names.
that's that whole line of
Long
corrections.
tail.
They're just long something.
Well,
Long
long,
feet,
long
where you
tail.
been, man?
play around with it long enough, it'll get long.
Long cloaca.
Okay,
What the
we'll
fuck
let
are you
Zach
doing
finish
here?
because Jesus,
Yeah.
we're sidetracking.
But yeah, I don't see, considering how, Korax worship Helio, the god of the sun as a god, I don't think they're going to willingly become the servant of a creature that has been, or of a monster that has been cursed to die in the sun.
I mean, once you get the bond on him, no.
All right, moving on. So Paige actually asks, how much historical research did
You missed one before.
I did?
Yep, there's one above it.
What did I miss? Oh, Callie Salvo. Sorry about that. Didn't see yours. Okay, so he thought he highlighted it, but he didn't. So for the storyteller, was there going to be more of the Ratkin and that got avoided?
There was going to be more of the Ratkins, but see, the thing is, because of the nature of the stream I do, whereas the players drive a lot of what goes on, and the time limit, because 2.5 hours an episode. That means, I put what I can in, but if they're doing good role play and other stuff going on, it's not fair to them to keep interrupting their scenes with me throwing the Ratkin back at them. So we fit what we could based on the time limit of the stream, what we could with the story. If we were doing 4-hour episodes, sure, I could have got a lot more Ratkin in, a lot more Umbra shit, a lot more werewolf shit in, but 2.5 hours an episode, 10 episodes a season.
Got to keep that shit concise.
And with some seasons, sure, we're not looking at big time jumps, but I knew coming out of that this season would end and we would have 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to end it with the fortress done so that we can move forward from that, or them failing and dealing with the consequences of that in the next season. So.
Yeah, but that was a good question. That is often what goes on in our streams as far as pacing out delivery of plot. Because I, as a player, have played at my husband's table so often that I will move plot. Because I know we need to move plot as quickly but thoroughly as we can because we have a time constraint. So that's why I am one of those very forward progressive players at his table that really moves things along.
Well,
so like with my character telling the village people to burn your crops, I'll figure out your food shortage issue, because that's the quickest solution to this plague thing that was bothering them by the Ratkin.
I also have a thing that every episode, the plot should move forward. Even if it's only part of the plot or a subplot, every episode, something should happen, not it just be a whole episode of everyone sitting around twiddling their thumbs waiting for something. That's not exciting to watch. If we want to see them bored all night, we could do that without, I could just make my own video for that. Just watch Shanky monotone the whole night, We don't need to do that. But at the same time, when we do something like Windy City, it's no time jumps like that in season. So we can introduce something like the Ratkin in one season
and pick up to
them season 2 or 3, 2 or 3 seasons later. And because time-wise, it's only been 3-4 months in that kind of a space, or in terms of the World War, as we do an indeterminate amount of time passed, we can do that. But with Dark Ages, we're going to really have constraints on some of the storylines because each season is going to cover a particular period of time. So the next one's going to jump 50 years. I think the next one after that's another 50 years. It won't always be 50 years every season. It's going to depend on
a century or two.
Yeah, it's going to depend on events going on. But because we're doing these kind of jumps, we really, some things won't get covered there. It's just the nature of the beast because we want to cover 800 years of history. And if we did it like we've done my other chronicles, we would never get even halfway through what we're planning.
But it also, I can kind of understand that pacing with this story because we are rolling towards high Middle Ages into Renaissance. And that is a whole freaking advancement of society at that point. So I get how we're doing these little chunks as we plod towards that point, because once we get to that point, things are just going to shoot off.
Yeah, that's why it's called Glimpses of History. Unfortunately, you're going to see a glimpse and then a glimpse and a glimpse. One of the things we're talking about is like between season. When you're talking 50 years advanced, in that time, Constantinople falls. There's a bunch of stuff that goes on that you're not going to see play out on screen. That either I'm going to have to do your boy Twitch comes to show you. before he was a vampire, actually, to talk about the events that in the past 50 years, not what these kindred have been doing, but mainly about
What's happened in the world?
World, how the world advanced, and a little bit about what they've been doing as we roll into second season, which is them running their city, and they've been in it for 50 years. And this is what makes this this particular chronicle so difficult to run. Is a lot of chronicles out there, there's that continuity of constant time. We're going to be doing big jumps, and we've got to establish believable and, with risk events between seasons. They may lose dots in their backgrounds. They may lose dots of allies. They could lose resources. Events are going to happen between seasons that some of it will be good, some will be bad. And we've got to deal with that offline, not role play, but deal with how it happened and how they progressed and how their building of a city has progressed. Because Belgrade, actually, the city they've been given, becomes a major.
It becomes the capital of Serbia.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like it's a nothing town. So yeah, there's my answer on the Ratkin. It's all tied together about, the length of the seasons. And yeah, we could do 4-hour streams, but I'll be fair. We picked 2.5 hours to make it easily watchable by the viewers, easily bingeable. And also because we're streaming on work nights a lot of times so that the cast isn't here from 8 p.m. to midnight.
Right. Eastern time. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I could do it because I don't go to sleep till 2 a.m. anyway, but it's not fair to the cast or the viewers to push it that late.
Yep. All right. So now, Paige, I can get to your question. Sorry about that. So how much historical research did you all do for your characters, if any? I won't go first this time. Don't make me voluntold you.
No, I'm going.
I would say I'll go real easy. I didn't do any fucking research. Thank you.
Oh, cool. That's good to know. I did a fair bit of research. Particularly, I wanted to find out for sure what was going on in Spain. Because I came into the situation wanting to play like a Toreador, a fancy like Puss in Boots Toreador. But
Antonio Banderas, the vampire, gotcha.
Yeah, the point angles and the other man, like that's the whole premise. And then the character creation method happened, and one question threw everything for a loop. But I did do like early Spanish rulers. I have like a whole historical mapping of like their families, so I can, if I go back, which I do plan on having him go back, I can figure out who I'm loyal to, what I've done with that. But yeah, I did research. I know that we're currently at war with like the Moors and Portugal and things like that. So I did enough to pad an understanding of where he comes from.
I'm going to elaborate. I don't have to do a lot of research. I just need to know at the year or whatever, 2 or 3 years that we're playing in a season. I have to know the events that went on then for a season. That's all. The players have the backbreaking work of researching what they were doing, what was going on with them. I don't have to deal with that. I just have to know what happened in the world during the stream.
Pivotal
we were playing,
events.
like talking about the hordes building up, because that's coming.
Horde. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'll let the rest of the players give their research they did.
So to work out the idea for Miguel, I had to do a lot of research into or just kind of to work within the timing that was given to us by Shanky as far as when our characters were embraced. I had to research into how I could get my character to have participated in one of the Crusades and have the background that he had. So just kind of follow it, like looking into when did the crusade, which crusades happened, which crusade it would have been, and fitting it so that it worked with the path that would have been taken by the Germanic arm of the Inquisition or of the Crusades. But that's pretty much it as far as just that kind of piece I had in mind. Just had to get like the years right, that type of shit. I also happen to be the only one who does not have a named character in vampire lore, so I didn't have to research any part of the vampire history like all these other characters did.
That you know of.
I didn't have to research it. Now, whatever you may want to do with that's on you. That's your research to do. I didn't.
I'll just play it by ear and make it up as I go, because that's how I run my games.
We will learn that you will have a descendant much further in your line named Xavier.
No. You may learn his sire's named Arnold. For those that don't know vampire, Arnolf is sire of Mitru,
yes,
the hunter.
He is. Arnoff is a problem.
You talk about Arnoff.
Who's
Arnoff
next?
is Rocker.
I'm going last, so Junie better step up, or Maddox.
Damn! Just call me out. Why
Oh yeah,
don't you?
I will. I will volunteer
Stop being
you.
a Sandy Beach. Damn. Yes, I actually had to do a lot of research. My character is actually over 500 years old, so I had to learn what time she was born in, what was she doing, as a woman. What was she doing for 500 years that was somewhat socially acceptable, but also to try and break some of the glass ceilings that are already starting to be put on women and to oppress them, and to know what I can and can't do without being, shall we say, put to a stake and then tied around and gently set on fire. To also know, the different things that are being said, what's written right now, what the main philosophies are. I did quite a bit, so that, and also learning how to fight through 500 years and what weapons are supposed to be applied to what part of the body, gently and ever so lovingly, of course, naturally, because we care where we stab.
It's called gently caressing with a bladed weapon. Yes. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. I've just said say what kind of weapon.
Does your dear sire already do the game of give me a thing,
No,
I'll bring it
that's
back
not
later?
till later. She does that much
Okay.
later in history.
She does that to prevent boredom.
Yeah. What have you got
No,
on you?
Assassins.
For those that don't know that reference, Peregrine Sire's Fatima. Fatima is a famed assassin for the Banu Hakim Assamites at the time we're playing. She plays a game when she goes to kill people. She asks whoever's there, what do they have on them, and has them hand her just the oddest objects that she's going to use to go kill everybody. In the Camarilla book, she used a letter opener to destroy an entire special operations base that was full of Sabbat people. A letter opener.
I'll say this. Probably when she went to go kill Peregrine's Domitor, she probably, or maybe started that game, and Peregrine just went, I have this. And then she just decided to defend her Domitor with
A
that.
goose quill.
You know what? It stopped it up to the point where, Peregrine maybe just got gently stabbed. And then,
Now, you got to think about it, though, after, 800 years, 900 years of being a kindred killing people, you got to come up with new ways to make a challenge out of it.
I agree.
There's a lot of gentleness in Peregrine's past. Like I gotta point that out.
Well, I mean, gentle, because I want to give the illusion that I'm a soft-spoken, gentle, delicate flower, which will then gently put a club into somebody's head and dislodge their brain. But
Yep,
who's
there we go.
who am I to say
We're
that?
fully demonetized now.
Demonetized.
Yep.
You're welcome.
I would challenge YouTube's demonetization on stuff, but they might review my other videos, and several of them that probably should have been demonetized will be all of a sudden. Like
Sometimes you
all
cut your
of
losses.
Like all of Wraith. All right, Maddox, did you do any research?
There was actually a whole journey that I remember about doing the character research for this, because before this stream, you wouldn't have caught me dead in a Dark Ages game. I thought it was too removed. I didn't think I could relate to any of the characterizations of how people were back then, and now look at me. But first, when you type in 11th century England, you don't get much.
Nope.
So that was kind of disappointing because I was like, oh, I want to just
London
be
was a
someone.
village.
Yep. And so I had to sort of look at it in the context of, all right, well, what does London become just a little bit later? So I more based my character's life off of like 12th century London, if anything, and maybe a little further on, but it still fit within the context of the Dark Ages, I felt.
The Dark Ages rulebook even says if you go
Scale
strictly by history, almost no, even what they call cities then, can't maintain a kindred population. So you have to artificially speed up the population centers because otherwise you don't have a game. So by skipping ahead 100 years, 200 years of London, you made it actually fit the way it would work for a fucking vampire.
Right.
And then just did stuff. I didn't even do so much stuff for like thieving and pickpocketing or anything like that from his history because, I mean, shit, I've seen enough heist movies to get the general gist aside from maybe some movie magic here and there. But the main things that I researched was the political climate of London when he was growing up, because you're surrounded by it no matter where you go.
Mm-hmm.
And another one was looking up, oddly enough, the profession of his mother, which was a brothel woman.
She was a prostitute. Right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
A lady of the
But
night,
by-
they were called then. I remember
By
that.
his recollection, a damn good one.
Mm-hmm.
But not that he ever tested it, obviously.
That would be for a whole different stream.
Coin.
Yeah.
That'll definitely demonetize you.
The reason that he grew up being a thief is not because he was poor, it's because he was bored.
And you grew up around
A criminal element.
criminal elements that because
Yeah.
pickpockets and the ladies of the night, they actually that worked hand in hand sometimes.
That was like a symbiotic relationship of sorts.
And then the whole I can see ghosts thing was entirely for two reasons. One, in character creation, I put Cappadocian as one of the options. It was the last option because I'd already been a Giovanni in Windy City. Kind of wanted something different. And then I said, regardless of what happens, I'll just keep the medium thing because it's interesting.
It is interesting to play. Yeah.
And we didn't focus as much on that one because you were out in the middle of nowhere. Expect to see it a little more in your city
Mm-hmm.
because you're in a city.
You're in a city. Been lots of
I
fights
saw-
there.
I saw one ghost and I was satisfied. I was like, okay, cool. Got that merit out of the way. Let's move on.
Out in the middle of nowhere, it's hard to find.
Yeah.
You won't see a lot of ghosts where you were, but when you're in a city, and especially as we get past the plague times,
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of death soon.
With any luck, I'll be able to convince them, hey, just avoid this spot. That's all I ask, please.
okay, so we got
All
Mama.
right. So now it's me. And your girl likes to do lots of research for characters. And knowing that I decided to turn an actual historical figure that got sainted into a kindred, I just had the question when I read up about her. I'm like, what would she be like as a kindred? Not much different, just ageless. I was like, this is a perfect fucking person to try to portray, especially in a Dark Ages campaign, because a lot of time in those early years of this chronicle, it's going to be a brutal freaking existence. So it's an appropriate character. But I did a lot of research, not only into the early years of Kievan Rus and the Rus country that came from it. I actually researched her line to see how many descendants of hers were rulers. And it ended with Ivan the Terrible. And I also researched how that area changed throughout the years with war and connections with Constantinople. So basically, when Constantinople thrived, Kiev thrived. When Constantinople fell, Kiev fell. At a time, Mongols did rule Rus. So it was great to be able to bring that into the story a little bit when it got mentioned by Micah Vikos that the Horde was forming. and going to be heading towards Constantinople, that Elena would send word to the current ruler of Rus to tell them the horde is coming, to try to prepare them. She knows it's not going to save them because you can't stop a fucking horde.
Especially considering in the vampire world, that horde is not just mortal Mongol warriors. It has, there is a bloodline, it's called, for this edition, which is different from clans, but it's basically think of it as a branch off of another clan. The bloodline, there's a whole Mongol bloodline that travels with them, normally in the wake of them, but even with them, because the Mongols do not consider the vampires cursed in the same way.
But my goal with sending that message was to ensure that the current ruler, who is like a great, great, great grandson of hers, will do what needs to be done to protect himself and his family.
And historically, the Mongols do get through Tahiti Pass. It's a bitter fight, but they do break through into Eastern Europe because that's the path to get through, and they fought through it. But, the fortress built there cost
But I don't believe they made it all the way to the Danube.
They conquered part of it, but not as far as they did other places. They got much better success moving north.
Right.
Around the Carpathians.
But yeah, so I did an extensive research. I researched not only just the general things about Elena, but like also what she did when she was regent and her husband's death because her son was too young. She was very influential in the prosperity of Kiev. She worked with Constantinople to broker trade. She even converted to Greek Orthodoxy to enhance those relationships and to prevent marriage to the emperor of Constantinople, because she had no desire to get married again after her husband died. And that is legit facts of the person that I am playing as a kindred. So I did extensive research into her and her area.
Now, we did tweak the timeline slightly because, it's hard to match it exactly to history, especially considering even history itself is unclear about some of the times that shit occurred.
Like her birth year isn't even really known.
But we worked through it.
Yeah.
We're not historians. We did what we could.
Yeah, it's ballpark-ish. Yeah, and even her death year is like ballpark-ish.
It was a lot harder to keep records.
But as you can tell, that was a good question because
lots of
we went a while for that one.
Yeah, that was a great question though. But as you can see, it is really on the players to do the bulk of research for characters and how their characters interacted with the world leading up to the start of a chronicle, because Shanky runs a very character-driven narrative, even with something that is built off of a module.
For those that don't know, Transylvanian Chronicles is what we're running.
Right.
That's what it's called.
It's a module, basically. It's an extensive module that spans a long time period. But it is a module. Even on that, he doesn't have us on such rails that we can't do a lot of character-driven arcs with a
there's
story.
Already been a bunch of changes that I've done. It's not, I never will play anything faithful to what's written.
Okay, the Ivy Raven asks, does the desire to kill Micah Vico still burn in everyone? Abso-fucking-lutely.
No.
You kidding?
Here's the extension of that. Who do you want to kill first? Micah Vikos or Prince Radu?
Vikos.
Yeah, Ragu can hold off on the periphery for a little bit.
I think I said it in one of the episodes.
Why
he can
not
happily
both?
go. He can happily go found the Sabbat. I don't care about that. Just stand and put your head on the chopping block afterwards.
Okay, Mitru the Hunter or Micah Vikos?
Micah Vikos?
Vikos.
The hunter.
Oh.
Truly, to Snatcher's mind, Elena was the only one who had a true problem with Mitru. He was just pissed at the principle of it.
What do you got, Zach?
Miguel does not want to kill any of them.
I think Miguel's the least murderous in the coterie for sure.
He is, but he's very religious.
100%.
Because if you kill them, then they cannot find their way to God.
But
I can't wait to see how
find their
Miguel.
way to God
I
directly.
can't wait to see Miguel deal with the Inquisition.
Yeah.
Because if if Miguel was to kill Vikos, then Vikos has lived a life of sin, and he will not get the opportunity to meet God because he's not going up.
I can't wait to see how Miguel's faith handles the Inquisition.
I
That'll
just
be
wonder
interesting.
how he rectifies the fact that we are all cursed by God.
That's not what.
That's not what he understands that all Canaanites are cursed by God, or technically they are cursed by the angels, because they are the ones that laid the curse onto Cain. However, sometimes the Lord works through mysterious ways, and in this case, he is in the understanding that the Cappadocian he is bloodbound to is literally hears voices from God. They're probably not God talking to her, but
she's manipulating you.
She's
being manipulated.
She's being manipulated. Yeah.
She can hear ghosts and talk to ghosts, and maybe that's who's talking to her, or maybe she's just saying that that someone is talking to her and lying to him. He does not know, and in his mind, it's not a difference. Even if she were to come out and say that she was lying, he would know that this was a test of God.
I see that fits though.
God.
Yeah. I'm
Such
excited.
a fascinating gangrel. I love Miguel as a
I'm
Me as an
excited.
atheist wants to retch, but it's great.
Yeah, oh, trust me. Like I love where Miguel's coming from, because the moment that I get my interaction with that true faith guy, I'm going to just show how different the La Sombra is when it comes to God.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just going to be the pagan that stays like over here and just let you all do what you need to do for your war of faith. I'm good.
True
I don't
faith
care. I get
will
many
still be rare in
gods.
my game because I
Miguel-
always think true
It
faith should be rare. But as you're getting into the Inquisition, you're going to deal with a lot more of it then, because a lot of the zealots believed, even if they were fucked in the head, they still believed, truly believed.
And just to touch on that, Judy, Miguel has seen what the war for gods do, and he views himself as a victim of it. But that was the corruption of man. He will not go to war for God. He will not force religion onto anybody, because then they have not come to it by their own meaning.
So for those the
And
viewers
free
out
will
there,
is necessary.
so you're aware, as you can see, even though we've only done one season, you haven't been able to catch it. There's a lot of nuance to what's going on
There
the screen.
is a ton.
It really is.
A ton of it. And honestly, Elena was pagan. And even though she converted, she was paying lip service and doing what was needed for trade
And for the survival of her people.
and for the
'cause that
survival
happens.
of her people, because she knew which way the world was going to go for her people. She knew that Catholicism was coming. So she might as well get the jump on that
She
shit.
swore, was baptized by the Byzantine emperor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And at the time, you bowed down to Byzantine in Eastern Europe.
Right.
Period. You
Period.
bow. That's it.
You follow their lead.
Or else.
If you want to trade with the glory of the Byzantine Empire and bear those fruits, you
Not
follow
just that. Your country was considered part of them, whether you wanted to be or not.
right. Not
They sent armies
officially,
in.
But yeah,
Yeah, they would.
yeah,
Yeah,
not
it was-
officially, but yeah.
Even now in the Transylvania where we're at, the remnants of it, the Byzantines are still strong enough that
Mm-hmm.
it's a problem.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, and at this point, it's been, a few hundred years that Elena was in torpor. She's waking up, and now her whole entire country has spread, and the Catholicism spread with it. So she was right. That was the way the world was moving.
All that from a Micah Vico's question.
I know, right? But anyway, so then Callie Salvo asks, how likely, how close did the crew come to failing to finish the castle? It felt like they did really well at keeping it going the whole season.
The key point in this whole first season, had they not taken the money from Micah Vikos, they would have failed. It all boiled down to that. They had no money otherwise. They ran out of money. If you look at the way it's structured, it was structured in a way to run them out of money, to force them either to take Vikos's offer or to get extremely creative and
brutal with the levies.
Brutal. Force the people to do the work with no pay, that kind of shit, force starvation. It was the ethical choice of, do you owe a favor to someone you feel could be a monster? And any way you look at it is doing it for their benefit, not yours.
Right.
Or do you say, fuck that, turn my back on that, and resort to the brutality of the Zemitsy of Transylvania? Because you don't think Radu would have finished it without paying people.
Right.
He would have taken all the families hostage and said, build it. I will execute, a family a month until it's done. Period. No question. And if you don't want to, and if I run out of villagers, I'll import villagers and start over again, and we'll still get it built. So how close they come, that was the key point, the pivotal ethical decision for them, because if they hadn't taken that money, they would not have finished it unless they resorted to medieval kind of methods, which, no pun intended, Dark Ages game, but
yeah.
There isn't a Zemisi among us. Why would we behave that way?
It's an ethical choice for your characters. Do you want to be better? Do you want to be better than the other monsters you're with?
All right. So Paige asked, this is a storyteller question more than anything because you know all the rules about it. But because of all the time skips, are you rewarding XP in between them to reflect the passage of time? If not, why? And if so, how are you calculating it?
There's a whole system in the Transylvanian Chronicles that they call it maturation points. It's meant to reward some, it's not experience, it's a separate pool that is used for these time skips. It's based on, 10-year gaps. Every 10 years, you get a certain number, and you get to pick stuff from there about what you're changing. And the thing is that, sure, Kindred are always active, or Canites are always active. They're always doing something, but during these time skips, it's less active than the role play that we're doing. So they will get points they can spend. It wouldn't be nearly as many if we played 50 years straight of, just playing. They would just get obscene amounts of XP. But so they'll still advance between seasons. It just won't be as fast between seasons as it is during the season. So what you'll end up seeing is, they will have more powers, though it's expensive to spend some of that on powers. A lot of it's for building your backgrounds, your lieges, your resources, and some of those, though some of the stuff can be done with powers. But most of their power gains are going to be done in season. Especially, these are 7th gen Kindred. To get up to level 6, which is their cap for discipline, level 6 right now, they're not going to be able to do that with maturation points easily. That's a lot of damn points to go from 5 to 6 in an ability.
All right. So, one of the things that Zach Rules down here brought up in our Zoom chat, which I think is actually a good point. I know a lot of our viewers some may have played older systems within Vampire, but most of y'all are coming from a V5 background. And the question that he posed that we might want to ask of all the players is to tell everyone our roads or paths that we're on, and kind of explain what that is. In V5, you have a humanity score, and you judge based on stains you incur, and you roll a remorse roll.
Stains are based on breaking chronicle tenets.
Yep.
And personal convictions.
And personal convictions. And if you have a conviction to offset a potential stain, you can negate that stain. But if you don't, you have to roll a remorse roll and pass it. Well, in Dark Ages, which is a V20 system, we have roads.
A hierarchy of sins, they're called.
It's a hierarchy of sins. So based on our score on that road, if we do the sin of that level
or lower, there's a chart. What it is, it's based on your starting. There's 2 stats it's based on for each road. There's a whole bunch of roads, and that gets your starting number. But once you've started, that number can go up and down independent of your virtues. So if you commit a sin under your number, whatever it is in the whole chart, if you commit sins under it, you have to do either a conscience roll or a what is the other one? I think it's conviction roll.
Conviction roll.
Against difficulty 8 or no 6.
Not always conscience.
It's right. It's one of the two because some people don't have conscience. Your virtues are determined by your road.
Yeah.
Not everyone has the same virtues. You have to roll. Its difficulty is 6, plus the difference between the sin you committed and your current road rating. So for Snatcher, he had to carefully create his character to start with a road rating of 6 because if he had started with 7, theft would have been a sin against his road, which would have been a problem for a pickpocket and thief. So he had to make sure his virtues kept him below that 7 to fit even his backstory.
Right.
Some of them are Road of Humanity, which is what you would think of in V5's humanity about doing bad things. You've got Road of Kings at this table, though, which is about rulership, or Road of Chivalry for Augustine.
The two Ventru paths that you see the most on La Sombra, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
It is.
But this is even before what's called the Road of Night. The Road of Night didn't come about until much later in history, which is the Sabbat Road. Not all of them followed, but the primary Sabbat Road was the Road of Night. That's not even here yet. We haven't get to that point.
But yeah, Elena has the Road of Kings, and the ethics of that is to rule others. You must first become your own master, taming the beast within. Your word is your honor and your life. Do not break it. There are only 2 roles in the world, master and servant. Power does not hand itself to you. You must seize it and hold it.
And there's sins on that one, even like if she fails to show deference or to obey a superior, which is why she has to be very careful with her sire.
Yep.
Because she could commit a sin against her own road by not acknowledging his dominion over her as her sire.
And now, she might be talking out 2 sides of her mouth while doing it, but to his face, he's going to feel like she.
Well, even if you start doing it against his face, you are still violating your road. But as history goes on, the importance of like sire to child actually changes.
Yes.
We're still in the heart of Dark Ages when even long after you were embraced, the sire by Cainite culture has a right to kill you anytime they want to.
Yep.
Long after you, I mean, you could be 400-year-old kindred and the sire can decide to kill you for a crime, and by vampire society, that's allowed. It changes later. There's a lot more taboo on just wiping out children, but right now, you're considered subservient to your sire forever.
Right. And with Elena, she is a 5 on her road, and it's a max score of 10. So it goes from 1 to 10.
And you might think, okay, well, I'll keep my road low so that I don't have to deal with this.
Oh, no.
But there's a cap on how much you can roll for certain types of checks, and how well you can act in daylight is capped by your roll. If you try to do something in daylight, the max size of your dice pool is equal to your road rating. So if you ever get woke up and have to deal with something, if your road is 4, you can't have more than 4 dice. And it'll fuck you.
Yep. And that's why I took 5. But with 5, I can't show weakness in front of inferiors. So like there was at one point in our session where Elena told the gentleman, told somebody never show fear. Because that's showing weakness in front of inferiors.
You can find all the roads on the wiki, because we could sit here all night describing them all, but check the wiki for the roads. There's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, so everyone go around the table. We know Elena has Road of Kings. What road does your character have?
It's kind of an obscure one. Humanity.
That's a deep cut.
And here's a fun little fact for everyone. Off screen, after the whole sacking the village and razing it to the ground thing happened, we did some road rules for the people it was applicable to, and damn, I botched
Lost
so badly.
For the war crime at the end of the season, his road dropped 1.
So I'm technically at 5 in my humanity, which, I'm not like unfeeling.
That's dangerous.
Just I'm on the edge of unfeeling.
I'm on the Road of Chivalry. I also, which is an offshoot of the Road of Kings. I also had to make a road roll at the end of the season, but I did not botch it, so I'm okay.
I want to say I'm on Path of Illumination.
Yep, that's what it was. Unfortunately, Foundry, because what we're using is Foundry is what we use for our Dark Ages stream to handle the character sheets and the rolling. It didn't have illumination listed in it, so she had to put a different path in there to get her convictions to line up, even though that's not her path because
But
there's
you
no
added
way.
it to her journal, right?
Yeah, I added it to her journal because I couldn't manually change it to say illumination because, it's a limitation of the software. So,
I had to do a roll as well. The funny thing is that because I'm at 7, any act that will prevent a K-Knight from following the journey you have begun is supposed to be the sin for that one. But
you got hit, I think,
rolled
with wanton destruction or some shit.
That is accidental violation of another. Wanton destruction is number 5.
Yeah.
But wanton destruction for one person is completely valid for somebody else.
I could have gone with 3 planned destruction of planned violation number because y'all planned to burn that shit to the ground. You knew it was coming, but
I just have to refer to the song in Chicago. They had it coming.
Weren't you Path of Blood, but for some reason you're in there as Illumination?
No, she's Path of Illumination, but because of her what fit. But Path of Blood is what the system will let you put in because it matches her conviction sets.
The
virtue set. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Because I copied them all over from the notes that we had. I copied the journal entries for everyone to have a quick reference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I have a conviction of 3, self-control of 3, and courage of 4.
If you have conviction, that's not illumination.
Virtue is...
No, that's my virtues. I didn't...
Yeah, if you have conviction, then you don't have illumination because illumination is part of Path of Humanity, which has
she's
conscience.
Got illumination because that's what we decided on. I think the character sheet's got to be fixed again. There's been a bunch of fucking updates to this, unfortunately.
Okay, we'll fix it later.
The story.
Anyway, Zach, what do you have?
Storyteller on all of
because I am also Path of Illumination.
Okay.
And
what did you take for yours to make it line up right?
Conscious, self-control, and courage.
Yeah, but you didn't take Path of Illumination.
Path of Illumination falls under the Road of Humanity.
So Road of Humanity has the same one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like 3 branches to most roads from what I saw in the book. Like humanity's got
it's
illumination
Road of Kings,
and
Road of
freedom
Humanity,
or some shit.
Yeah.
Like there's so fucking many.
Yeah.
I it's interesting, but I do see why V5 came up with the conviction system.
I fixed it and it didn't put it right.
Okay, just mute yourself because that's disruptive as heck.
But it's also any act that's why he doesn't want to kill Lycos because that's going to go against his road.
Yeah.
Now he did not plan to kill the person that was on the people that were that they encountered along the path that were blocking trade. It just happened. So there was an accidental violation there. But he didn't pass his humanity roll.
We're kindred. We're Canaanites. We don't know our own strength.
I fixed it totally.
And Paige says, "Please tell me that we're going to see the Convention of Thorns." Yes, you are going to see the Convention of Thorns when we get to that year.
I'm thinking season 6 or 7 is when we'll hit that point.
Oh God.
Mm-hmm. Convention of Thorns hundreds of years away. You got some shit going on between now and then.
Jesus Christ.
Because we don't want to go straight.
Chronicle's going to go on forever.
We don't want to do straight Gehenna every season. We need to show what you're doing between the fucking Gehenna fucking catastrophes. So it's going to stretch out a while. We may go Gehenna to Gehenna at some point.
Maybe don't bring up Gehenna at all.
No Gehenna at all. Fuck Gehenna.
Yeah, we can try that. That boogie magic shit can just go in the corner over there.
Or just treat Gehenna the way a lot of storytellers do, and just it's happening. I'm
Spoilers
sure.
for what we're going to see. Let's see. You're going to see the Anarch Revolt.
Yep.
You're going to see the attempted diablerie of Tzimisce himself.
Yep.
You're going to see Vlad Tepes become Dracula. You're going to see the fall of Yorick in the Cathedral of Flesh.
Yep.
You're going to see Convention of Thorns. And probably by the end, you're going to see Gehenna itself. The Week of Nightmares by the end of it all.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say glimpses of history, these kindred are going to be pivotal.
Canon events.
Yeah, they're going to be pivotal in a lot of the big events of kindred history.
By the time we get to modern nights, if we survive, we will be basically incredibly powerful elders.
And I'll still make sure that when the Week of Nightmares happens, I'm nowhere near Ravnos. Because
That's right. Fuck that guy.
I'll let the mages deal with their. They'll use their orbit friendship cannon, and it'll be fine. I'll let them deal with it.
Just remember when the trickle down effect that it has on the rest of the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Staying away from all Ravnos will be much more difficult.
And the corollary to that is these kindred are allowed to change history. I'm not going to force them to follow certain paths of history. If their actions change later history, they change later history. I mean, if they killed Micah Vikos, Sasha Vikos would never have happened.
Right.
They probably wouldn't have survived doing it because they would have incurred.
All the Zamitzi would want our heads.
Yeah, they'd incurred a lot of Zamitzi on them, and
we're
Constantinople
for that.
Allies of his in Constantinople, and it would have caused some problems, but they could have done it.
We're really in the wrong side of the world for that.
Yeah.
But New World,
Also-
here we come. But yeah.
Also, every time we saw Vikos, they were surrounded by troops.
Yeah.
They will even get to meet Tremere himself at some point,
Yeah.
and Goretrix.
Ugh,
Yeah. Yeah, we will.
gross.
Unfortunately.
Wrong. Horrid.
It needs to be an ash party, but not on our bill.
Nope.
Punching him in the throat.
I'm sorry. Just because he's a usurper doesn't mean he ain't stronger than me.
That's right.
Or doesn't mean there's a higher chance that he's stronger than me. That's what I meant to say.
Maddox, everybody else has more potence than you, so everybody else is stronger than you.
You're baby Nos. Okay.
Hey, I got Potence 1 now.
Bebenos.
You're baby Nos.
Nos,
Hey.
nos, baby.
I went in saying if I do not have Mask of Many Faces or whatever, I have already failed as a Nosferatu.
That's true. I mean, you've got a good start as a baby Nos, but you're still a baby Nos. Okay.
I can't play like centuries-old weirdos like you guys can.
Just wait, you will.
You will.
Well, yeah, by the end, but that'll be developed. I
You
won't be
guys is a lot
starting
of
that
people.
way.
Funny thing
You
about the
guys is a
history,
lot of people.
I pointed it out to Roland. When we get closer to Modern Knights, it's going to be really interesting because in the Modern Knights, like Zelios, the architect, is considered a legendary figure to not just Nosferatu, to a lot of kindred.
To a lot of
And this Crowder will be able to say, well,
Oh, yeah.
shit, he designed me one castle that I built, and I lived in another that he built. Yeah. I've lived in the
I
shit he
gave
made.
him a hug. He didn't care for it, but he didn't stop me.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see that part.
Yeah. All right. Any cast questions?
I got another one.
Okay, go for it.
What does everyone think of our weird blend of V5 and V20 rules that we started using this season?
I like it.
Little rocky, but mechanics for the first time me playing something, it's always rocky, so it was mechanics.
Yeah, being that
You live with them.
I've played World of Darkness 20th Anniversary Edition games and I've played V5, it's actually a nice blend of the two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not Werewolf 5th edition, I'll say that.
No, it's not.
What a fucking shit show that was.
A total shit show.
I will say, them getting hungry has not been as big of a deal because when you're skipping a month between sessions, you can't keep their hunger, up high.
No.
That's saying they didn't drink at all during that time. Yeah.
I mean, Elena's got now 5 fucking ghouls. If she needs a top up, she can get it.
Right. So
She's
much
building an entourage.
much like all of my streams, during the downtime between episodes, we handle hunger as, it's a lot of hand wave, but you, the viewers, don't need to see them constantly feeding. That's not fun to watch. That goes back into the, we have limited time. So let's not spend it all with hunting scenes.
Yep. Make impactful, plot developing scenes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or character building
Or character
scenes. One of the two.
Because usually character building leads to plot development.
So there was one of my questions, which looked like Paige was going to ask that, but I beat her to it.
I actually have one.
Sure.
What are y'all's ghouls? I was looking over my character sheet recently and realized, holy shit, these are more human ghouls than I thought I'd have as an Nosferatu. I thought it would be like I had 1, maybe 2, but no, I've already got 3.
I have 5 total because I took Sherazina because I really see good Lasombra potential in her. But but definitely more of Elena's flavor of La Sombra, the ruler type. I had started out with 4. 2 of them are guards. They're men that are guards. One of them speaks her native tongue, and the other one speaks the local dialect. And the there's 2 that are women before Sherazina. One was like her personal assistant, and the other is her lady's maid that will take care of her grooming and beautification later when that becomes more of a thing.
Because she can't look in a mirror.
Because she can't look in a mirror.
The Sombra.
So she has a lady's maid that helps her garb herself and dress and look presentable.
And on the ghoul subject, we didn't focus them a lot this season. We're slowly building. I don't want to, the first season, I don't want to dump suddenly, 9 main ghouls constantly getting involved in things. You'll see more and more of the ghouls as we move forward so that we can spread out the ghoul stuff a little, because I don't want to, the first season's for the characters to establish themselves, not the ghouls to establish themselves. That's not what season 1 is. Because like Augustine's ghoul barely came up.
Right. But like I literally saw, okay, I'm not playing a heavy combat La Sombra. I'm playing more of a ruler La Sombra. Granted, as the years progress, she will get a bit more combat under her belt just for self-sufficiency.
That's unlife, baby.
Yeah, exactly. But, because if somebody plows through her ghouls and gets to her, she's got to be able to defend herself. But seriously, she is going to be the type that kind of surrounds herself in ghouls. She's going to rule them. Yeah. Yeah.
Who else wants to talk about ghouls?
It feels weird for me to go anywhere near the beginning since it was my question.
I mean, I have one goal. I have Mario Dialgo Espadon de Cartagena, which is my squire, and he is the equivalent of like the person that studies with me, that keeps me looking fly, as the kids say. But I'm also basing myself off of that learner La Sombra. Like Moncada had me bring up Elena for some reason, and so the more I see how she structures herself, the more I'm going to start to copy that. And so one of the big things that I want to do during the 50 years is to establish a set of ghouls. So that'll grow.
I can definitely see you having more like a personal army. Because you're kind of leaning a little bit more towards the War Master type.
With the ghouls being the, not the generals, but the ones in...
the lieutenants.
The ones in charge.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a real interesting road to go, because I definitely want to balance the Simitsi kind of background that Elena comes from, but the Moncada
chivalry. Mm-hmm.
You're also
not chivalry, but the warping of religion.
Yeah,
you're also centuries away from standing armies.
Yes,
that wasn't a thing where we are.
Right, but I see as the time progresses, you will be more like the general.
I mean, merchants will have some guards, a lord will have some guards,
yeah,
but no standing army. That's much later in history.
Yeah,
because it's expensive to keep a standing army.
Because while Elena definitely is a true queen trope in all aspects, she's not a general. She relies on generals to move her armies. So.
Who else want to talk about some ghouls? Miguel's, I know, got a couple.
Yeah.
Sure, why not? So Sister Luminita is the ghoul that has been with him since he left the convent that he was a part of. So she was one of the sisters there, and has essentially been there to make sure that what needs to be done during the day can be handled. He made money from leatherworking. You can't really sell a lot of leather goods at night. He would have to occasion and other religious figures. Can't always move during the day, so she is able to ride it, to be the coach or cart. He does not have a coach. He has a cart that has a tarp on it and his little box that he stays in during the day. When she has to move, he has to move during the day. Most of all, she works for, playing the part and, learning as they travel, they go and experience the word of God and how religion is handled in different ways. Both of them are learning that.
Did you and Shanky intend for her to be a sweetheart? Because the few times that we've actually heard her like talking with you and stuff, she always seems just very demure.
I
and
decide
kind.
all ghouls' personalities.
Yep. So yeah. But also you got to think she is a nun, or she is, practicing to become a nun. She has not fully taken her vow. She is still a sister. So she is going to have that sort of reverence and that demeanor anyways. That's, if she was, wild and throwing things because, that priest came through and they kicked her out and she was kicking up a storm, that would not be in character for a nun. So
yeah, there's a reason why willful women were sent to the convents.
As far as the horse, the horse is really just something that he can make sure that he relies on. So if he has to send Sister Luminita somewhere while he's in the city, if I'm sure, and some of the downtimes, she may have made trips on her horse. Something has to happen to her and the horse for him not to find out about it. Because if something happens to her, the horse has the instructions to come right back.
And I know people saw it with Peregrine. Horses, if you don't bond them, they don't like kindred.
Unless you have the inoffensive to animals marriage.
So for Miguel, you have to bond your horse, so the horse is going to bolt from you anyway. First chance he gets.
He does have animalism and he does have animal kin, so he does have
a way to convince them.
He does have stats that are kind of geared towards that. As someone who is, he hunts for fun. He hunted fun before he was embraced. So having those kind of skills, without that, the animals, you can't really hunt very well because animals just take the fuck off. You can't sit up on a deer with a bow from 60 yards out because they can smell your stank dead ass.
Yes, they can.
Hell, beckoning's a great way for a kindred to sit in a clearing and just wait.
He hasn't figured out what he's going to do with Johann yet. That was essentially there to save his life.
Yeah.
And apparent, and as part of his repentance for his sin, Johann has potential for the future plays in the city. We'll see what happens in the city and when they have it, and what kind of role he will play in it.
For Nasir, Peregrine's he has been teaching him reading and writing in Arabic, so that he can tell her because he is, and she got him just because he was the traveling parts, and I got him because he was injured, and she's teaching him how to read and write, do books like she did, so that he can go and sell the books and do all that stuff that she used to do. Plus, she learned and was able to actually read the Quran, and she likes that book. And so she's starting to actually make those as well to let's put some more flavor into the world for religions. We need more different thoughts. Yes, I'm stirring the pot. And well, she also has to have a bodyguard at some point. So yeah,
You're in the dark ages. After dark, shit stops. This ain't exactly like there's a lot you can do at night. You've got to have a ghoul.
Yeah.
To do anything.
He goes sells her books and shit.
Because that shit closes down at night. Especially in Transylvania, because as soon as it gets dark, people start locking their fucking houses. They know what's running around. They want no part of that shit.
Yeah, they're ruled by it. They don't want to meet their rulers.
Yeah.
I want nightlife now. Can we just have clubs? That'd be great.
All right. So Paige did ask a question. Do you take notes? And if so, what are the details you tend to focus on? I know Junie takes notes. She is our table scribe. So what do you focus on, Junie?
Hi, this is a Junie only question? Oh, that's scary.
Well, I don't take notes.
I don't see anybody else writing stuff.
Why would I do it for this?
I take notes.
Do you? Okay.
I only focus on anything that I am involved in 100%. Like if I'm not in the scene, I don't write it down.
Yeah.
I take notes about NPC names. That's it.
The closest thing I take to notes is when we record our experience, I put little captions. So the first episode was giving a venture a bad night. Second episode is fun with Mitru.
I don't even do that. I put season 1, episode 1, season 1.
Look, at least this cast is tracking your own fucking XP. Okay?
If I just put the episode names, then if I go back and be like, wait a minute, should I have gotten more for visions?
Look,
use it as a negotiation.
At least this cast is keeping track of their XP. Unlike someone I'm going to name, your Any, who did not know how much XP he had at any point until I went back and had to watch episodes to update the cast who wasn't tracking their XP.
All our XP.
Yeah, this cast is actually tracking it without me having to keep track for it.
But no, I know Junie writes like all the things that are like plot important.
Yeah, well, yeah, I write a lot of stuff that it's important for us to remember, like names and such, like Ragu instead of Radu.
Yeah, you don't want to call him by his actual name.
Pastafagu.
It's not rude. It's just a point of view.
It's a pasta the prince.
I'm still mad at that.
But I write a lot about the information that we do need in the future. Actually, I will be going through the notebook to make sure I've got everything kind of put together. I will be watching all the episodes, and then eventually I will start a blog or something to post
it in the cast chat.
Notes. Okay.
Yeah, post it in the cast chat. That way it's just there and we can pin it and, have our season summary by you.
As an aside, since you summoned Urini, are you...
Not your Audi.
Are you in any way, shape, or form upset that you have been more generous with us in one season than you have been in other vampire stories?
No, because the base default V20 by default gives out more than V5 right off. V5 says in the book 1 to 2 XP per session. That's what's written. This one, it talks about, well, everyone gets 1. If everyone does good role play, which if you're not on this, if you're on this show, you're doing good role play. There's a second one. You get a third one if people learn something. Well, I mean, it's Dark Ages. People are always learning shit. So there's a third one. And then there's other options that add even more to it. So this game by default gives out more XP than V5.
I am laughing at Callie Salvo and Paige Aberoth in the chat because Callie Salvo says, I still say if anyone diablerizes Count Ragu, spaghetti needs to be involved. And then Paige says, Anthony, it's Prince Spaghetti Night.
You're muted, Zach.
We play on Prince Spaghetti Day, so it makes sense. It fits. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, Millennial, go do your research. Zoomer, go do your research.
My little plate of spaghetti.
All right, so C# for it says, do you generate transcripts so you could search previous shows? Heck, no, we don't.
I'll even show you how bad it is. When we were doing the Windy City and I was doing the season summaries with your boy Twitch, before each one I had to go and scan through every single episode of the season to figure out what was going to be in your boy's Twitch's thing. Now, I have the kind of memory where I can't remember every episode, but if I watch 3 minutes here, 3 minutes here before the break, and then 3 minutes here, 3 minutes there after
He
the
knows
break,
everything.
I remember everything that happened in the episode. But if I don't do that, I don't remember what happened in the season. So that shows you how far it gets for me about, making notes.
And for me, I do not take notes, one, because I'm so engrossed in the story at the time that I can't stop to write about it. And also, I'm very disorganized in that area anyway. Both Shanky and I have ADHD. We just have different flavors of our neurospiciness. Whereas he is the type that he needs to trigger his memory recall like that. I actually just have a brain for storing story details. And I will remember, oh yeah, Augustine needed to do this, or Peregrine wanted to do this, or Miguel was on this, plot path, or Snatcher's doing this, or my character's doing this. And I will just keep that shit just locked away in here, and it's going to come up every time I sit at the table.
And I will say, when I'm a player, like when I was in Dune, I did take notes on NPC names. That was it, because I'm horrible with names. I still have my thing. Makduha was the Fremen speaker. We had Master Aguri Biles.
What's crazier is that you have that so readily available. You didn't
saved
go to
on my
click
desktop.
anything.
It's
You
saved
literally
on his
just looked
desktop.
up at one of your monitors. That's freaky.
Yeah, it's saved to my desktop.
And Callie, Salvo, you say you do that, but only with memory prompts. For me, sitting down to play the game, I get in that character headspace, and immediately the story starts playing in my head.
But I'll be fair.
That's my
Taking
problem.
notes every episode, that's totally anathema to who I am. Just like plot outlines.
We have executive dysfunction, so
Yeah.
we are not capable.
Plot outlines are not for me. I mean, yeah.
As a habitual not note taker, I will give this tip to people who don't want to take notes and want to get away with it in character. Low intelligence characters. So it's in character that they
High
don't remember
whiz,
shit.
low in talent.
That guy, remember that guy we talked to?
Yeah, what was his name?
There we go.
As storyteller-
that's not explainable with 5 dots, but if you got 1 dot and 2 dots, maybe.
As storyteller, I
Intelligence.
don't get to do that, but that's why one of the few notes I take as storyteller is I do have a sheet just for names.
If I haven't said a name at least 5 times, I will not fucking remember it. So I will be constantly asking storyteller, hey, storyteller, what was the name of that character?
Yeah, Radu's messenger was Booker. We had Frank, who was one of the guards. Koman was the carpenter. Kumana was one of the workman's wife. That's the only notes I took.
I don't know.
We
these
lost
people.
Bjorn.
I don't know who the fuck
Nikolai
those guys
died.
are.
Nikolai, what a loss.
What a loss. We barely
he
knew
again?
him.
I also play most of the games that I play in outside of this are games that run every month. So this is a hell of a lot easier than remembering what happened a month ago.
That is true.
And
When you're playing weekly, it is easier.
For those that don't know, the original idea for this Dark Ages game was a monthly game. And then it was, maybe we should play every 2 weeks. And they said, well, let's do Transylvanian Chronicles that'll do 800 years of history, but we need to do it weekly. And then, the cast signed on originally for a monthly. Then it was 2 weeks. Now it's weekly.
Paige was wondering how the heck we kept track of everyone. By the skin of our teeth.
I have,
Fact.
Paige, one thing that helps us or helps me a lot, because like for Windy City, we have Fantasy Grounds. I have every NPC entered in there. I have a reference of every NPC there because I've got a list. Same thing here for in Foundry for Dark Ages. I've got a list of NPCs. I've got them broken down by clan. Even have one for werewolves that we've put in. So it's easier for me to keep track
He's
of them
got notes
because
in there for that.
I've got them indexed to find. Now, some of the sheets are blank.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a goddamn thing written in the sheet because I don't need it. I just need the name.
Mm-hmm.
So I know what name they are, what clan. And that's why I use Fantasy Grounds, why I use Foundry. Just like I can never remember half the powers. I don't have to. I've got them in Fantasy Grounds and Foundry that indexed. I can just click to see what it is. Boom. Good.
Yep, absolutely. Using tools like those programs are fantastic.
Now, it's a lot of work. I had to put them all in.
Mm-hmm.
For Windy City, we had 80 SPCs. I had to manually enter into Fantasy Grounds. For this one, I don't have nearly as many because there's not a lot of kindred that you're directly interfacing. But, using these kind of tools really helps because I can just look at them.
Okay, so one thing Maddox did mention in Zoom is he forgot to answer his own ghoul question. So Maddox can now answer his own ghoul question.
I didn't mean for that to detract and go back.
Way
I'm
to
sorry.
go, Maddox.
I am moderator. I call the shots.
All right, I'll try. I'll wrap him up fast. His oldest ghoul is named William. He's one of the kids that he was in the pickpocket ring with and all that stuff. And they just grew up around the same time. He's like, "Hey, William, I'm a vampire now. You want to work for me?" Sure. That was about as far as that idea went for me. So he's just another British thief, but it's someone who can do what Snatcher does, but when the sun's out. So it's just work around the clock. So there's stuff always being stolen.
Well, we'll see which ghouls survive, though.
The next one is named Krina. I just looked up a random old Transylvanian name. She was just a local young woman. In my head, I just put that she lost her parents and Snatcher met her when he was scouting the town and said, "Hey, I'll happily help you survive in the world and shit. You just have to work for me." And yeah, he got her from the Transylvanian side. So is she kinfolk?
And I will say one thing. It's easy to get a lot of ghouls, especially in Dark Ages, but just in general. It costs you nothing to feed blood to people.
He wasn't done. He has 3.
The last one is Shanky told me to name him too, so I picked another Transylvanian name, Bogdan, who was the chef who got his leg broke and wasn't the one that I dragged through the grass by his hair.
You have Bogdan. I have Bodan.
Mm-hmm. Although Bogdan's still at the fort, he's my informant now.
Yeah.
You guys gave Sinatra good advice. He's like, "All right, I'll leave him here."
It's a good thing that Rodan is in Japan.
Bogdan, Rodan.
All right. I have one question before I move on to viewer questions again. I actually am wondering what each of you's plan is or goal is for the new city. We've kind of hinted at it with some people, but I want to hear everybody's response to that when we get into season 2. We'll be in the city for 50 years. What are you going to be doing there?
I'm going to jump on this one because my dog is trying to get me to take her outside. So I'm going to answer and then dip off screen for a bit. So Miguel wants to establish a religious quarter. Mm-hmm. So he wants to have a place for every religion that is acceptable. Bali, I'm looking at you. No Satan worshiping. But any religion that can show that they're meaningful members of society, and a place for all of them to have their respective place of worship, and to make sure the Canaanites do not feed there.
That'll be the fun part.
Yeah.
Hey, it's our city. We're allowed to enforce the territory.
I sense some season 2 drama. Perfect.
Oh, there's drama. Okay. Mm-hmm. Snatcher, what are you going to be doing?
Rats, crime.
Perfect.
Simple.
Seriously.
Breed rats do crime.
Breed rats do crime.
Rats do crime. Yes, exactly. You guys get it. But no, to go into a little more detail. The second that you guys said and confirmed Snatcher, "No, bring all your rats, man. Fuck this fortress," he was like, "All right, kids, into the cart now." And he was so excited. He'd already started on a spawning pool with them, so some of his rats are already beefier. And I'm hoping you guys will keep donating blood when we get to the city as well to keep this, because
it's a fun experiment.
Yeah. And it's a Nosferatu staple. Get as many fucking animals to drink from this water as possible, and you have a swarm.
Listen, Maddox, if your goal out of this rat experiment isn't to make it to the modern days with one specific rat that you can name Splinter, you have failed.
Nim.
I will.
Nim is Cedric's rat.
His super rat, Nim.
Yep.
All right, so I need
Nim, for those that
to ghoul a rat, and name them Splinter. I need to get 4 turtles, but that'll be after the Renaissance.
That's later. That's yeah.
And you need Honey the Badger. Just saying.
Oh no, I was also gonna say if we're just picking from like stories and mythology and all that shit, I also need to get a squirrel and name it Ratatosk.
Oh, and in
Obviously.
honor of the Ivy Raven, you need a crocodile or an alligator that you've ghouled, that you can say is a cocaine alligator. It's really just ghouled alligator
That's a
that
swamp
lives in
kitty.
the sewers.
That's a swamp kitty, and I can help you find one.
Junie, what is Peregrine going to be doing?
Concerned about y'all.
Keeping the rats away from her books.
Actually, she has learned quite a bit from our La Sombra twins, and she's actually going to try and get her ghoul married, start a family, kind of gently start to work that whole, breeding program. But she's also going to start schools.
Good.
Try to get people more educated and make it so that it's a slight contradiction to the church of, women are equal. We do have we do have rights. We do have the ability to do things. If we don't do anything, you don't get a population. So you might want to be nice to us. Just saying.
That's it. Get the heavy flamer. I detect heresy.
Heresy detected.
Hey, it just means Belgrade's going to be a really progressive city for the Middle
Yes,
Ages.
it
That's
is.
all.
Yes,
Not
it is.
wrong.
Yeah.
Well, she's bringing in 500 years of not only old knowledge, but also trying to bring it through to re-educate.
Because a lot of it's been forgotten. Mm-hmm.
So the Greek and Latin books that were left and forgotten are now being brought back, revitalized, that old information put back into the system. No, you don't have a pox upon your land. You didn't fucking wash and now you're fucking infected. Know the difference. Be educated. Understand your body. Try to bring in more of that education. Also, she's going to be the seneschal as in she's going to be taking care of the book work, making sure that, the city's funded, that she's doing all of that, keeping the books, keeping things going, and making sure that, the coterie has everything they need, as well as, trying to get closer to, certain dragons so that eventually I can put knives in them. What? But I know that thing.
And how about
I know
Augustine?
I wanted to go into season 2 having started up another school of combat training so that I could get to work on that whole like standing army, making sure that we are going to be protected in the city. So that was already a plan that I had going into it, because I have a ghoul who comes from my school of thought. And so I wanted to make sure that I start spreading that dueling style into our people.
Oh, Elena is going to be the shadow queen of the city. That is what she is going to do. She is going to be the power behind the power of the city. She is going to have Sherazina positioned strategically within the politics of the city. She will be the one that chooses who is ruling, who is governing, who is doing all those roles in that city through Sherazina. No one is going to be king or queen in that city without her approval. The La Sombra way.
And I'm guessing if any rulership changes, you'll immediately ghoul them.
Exactly. She will probably have any prominent rulers ghouled to her.
Most of the kindred at that era, you picked who the next ruler was through whatever means necessary.
Hey, it's really nice when we don't have to worry about a masquerade, so we can literally just walk in and be like, hey, I'm a vampire. Go fucking over there.
And not every vampire was like that, but Transylvanian side, they hid nothing.
Yeah. But,
honestly, Snatcher's very refreshed by that.
Yeah, I mean, and as long as that we can get away with that, that's great. But I want Elena to start to learn how to rule directly through indirect means. So, because that's the way the world is going to go. And she needs to become more of the shadow queen instead of the queen of in the light. And so that's definitely, especially as we get closer to the 1400s when she becomes canonized, she's going to have to hide from public scrutiny for a while.
Or you argue, you just make sure that the paintings don't look like it.
Yeah. Yeah. But,
Dominate works great.
Yeah. But, or she'll have to just relocate where that Catholicism.
You can shape the history and the remembrance of you, so you can make sure that the artist view that takes hold through Dominate is not exactly closer, but not quite you, to make sure you're covered. Right. Vampires have so many ways to influence shit like that, especially La Sombra.
Yep. So definitely that's but I love how everybody, they have their niche, and we've all just fit right into it through season 1. Miguel's more focused on Christian religion, but he's also, from experience of Elena making sure that there were places for pagan worship and for Christian worship, it showed him that he can accommodate more religions. And that, that Snatcher's going to focus on crime and intelligence through his rats and his crime syndicates. And Augustine's going to do basically warrior training to make sure we have military standing to protect our city and guards to protect our city. And Peregrine's going to be doing, the books and educating and all that stuff, which is fucking fantastic.
Which raises the question, is your city going to have a prince, or are you going to end up with the precursor to the Primogen Council, which is a council of you all run the city? Because this is before there's even a Primogen Council. A prince of the city right now rules absolutely. Period. Absolutely. But you can't really have 5 princes. Are you going to end up with basically the precursor to what happened in later nights, which is Primogen Council? You may not have a prince. You may just have, you all ruling by maybe area.
Or as a division of talent. We are ruling in the areas where our talents and skills dictate.
So rulership by responsibility areas.
Right.
Yeah.
So, if you take the V5 book and what they put into it, as far as what positions are for the camera and within the Camarilla, I see it being kind of more like that. Without the prince, you have the person who is taking care of the military and combat aspect of that. While he may not be the sheriff in title,
he's a war master.
Certainly filling
warlord, as they were called then.
What that role would be.
Yeah, I definitely saw myself as creating the mold for what sheriff will be in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Or we could really fuck with people, and Elena could be the prince of rulership, Miguel could be the prince of faith, Peregrine could be the prince of literacy, Snatcher could be the prince of the underworld, and Augustine's the prince of war.
And I can tell you now, other kindred would look at you like you're fucking crazy.
Yep.
But there's nothing wrong with that. It's your city.
We would make it work.
Yeah, there's one of them. There's 5 of us.
Yeah.
We can.
Are they going to step? Frog, you going to jump?
You're going to tell us how to rule our city when you're standing in where?
Our city.
They'll talk shit about you behind your back, but it's your city. Ultimately, they will acknowledge that you have the right to rule if it's your city, unless they can take it from you.
Yeah, and if it thrives and they can't take it, I guess we're doing something right.
Because you're definitely in the, unlike, where there's formal structure to shit. Right now, you're in the age of, can you take it? If you can take it, you can rule it. If you can't take it and you can't hold it, it's not yours.
And who are you said there's also some around the city, human rulers that we have to placate to? Or
They're not human.
Elena's
not human.
Yeah,
okay.
They're Nez. They're called Nez.
They're called Nez.
Knez. That's the Zemitsi Voivode. I think that's how that's pronounced. That basically it's the equivalent to princes, but instead of ruling one city, they rule sections, and they report. It's much like in the feudal system. You can consider more like barons. They got to report to their duke, who's got to report to their king. There's whole structures of almost a pyramid structure, with a lot of fighting between the groups as their ritual of war, because that's how they settle disputes, is the ritual war. Very rarely do they actually just massacre one another. because, they'd rather just kill off each other's servants and underlings.
Oh, Snatcher would request in some form that we have some Zamisi to serve as a bit of an advisor in cases like that. Like, I know the Tula Sombra know a lot about the Zamisi just by virtue of Elena having the history she does and then teaching it to Augustine. But I genuinely, Snatcher would advocate we do need actually one of the proper local Cainites in on this in some form.
You're bucking the trend of that era because you're still in the area that every princedom usually has a Cappadocian advisor. Almost every single major prince has a Cappadocian advisor.
We'll get one of those too.
We'll get one of those too.
I'm sure Miguel can line one up for you.
Yeah, Miguel's got an inroad with the clan very easily.
And if they didn't have a Cappadocian, a number of the courts had a hidden, nobody knew it was there, Assamite vizier as a advisor too.
Certain that within the city or the area, there is bound to be a Zamitzi that is tied to that land somewhere.
There's also younger ones that don't have position.
But
that's
they know
part
a
of
lot.
Right, but that's part of what drives the Zamitzi part of the Anarch War is the Nez's hold power, and the younger ones have nothing. Literally have nothing.
That's something we can give to a younger one that might be around our city. A position.
I mean, that's what drives the entire Anarch revolt in a lot of ways is the younger kindred get nothing.
I'm reminded of the V5 High Clan lore sheet, the ability that says you can elevate someone of lower station up to, I think, around your status level. And if we just do that with a few choice, very intelligent, and very resourceful Zamisi.
And other clans.
True.
We have built allies.
We'll make a better melting pot than America ever could manage.
And the book even says at this era, because you got your high clans and low clans, they even mention that it's regional at times, and even sometimes in the city. In some cities, what everyone considers low clan rule the city and have changed the rules about what's considered a high clan in their city. It's,
Zach, I have that question on my screen. We're good. We're getting to it. All right. So Callie Salvo asks, how many Nicks were there? So far, there's 2 in this chronicle.
2 that died.
That died.
Mm-hmm.
There will be more.
There was another one I didn't manage to kill, which breaks my heart.
What do you mean? 50 years passed. He has a heart attack.
So he's dead. Yeah.
He's dead.
You killed him.
Yeah, but I didn't get to kill him on screen.
Okay. And
breaks my heart.
I believe that's Tarakwa. 8982. Please highlight your questions with channel points because it's easier for me to pick them out in the chat as I scroll. How do you guys start with your character creation? I, for example, mostly start with a culture like currently I play a Banu Hakim that got embraced in the 17th century and was a janissary.
Okay. First of all, we use my special Session Zero method for this stream. And if you haven't seen it, check the YouTube channel. Trust me, it's the focus of the Session Zero method that we use here for this stream for Windy City for a Kansas game is we build the life of the human first. Before anything in Embrace, you build the life of the human because vampires are unchanging in a lot of ways. So the human you were will greatly influence the kindred you become. Now, over 800 years, you may see drastic changes, but especially here in the beginning, they are just extensions of who they were.
Yeah, you spent many years being a human before you were ever turned into a vampire. That doesn't just go away.
Right. And as we covered earlier, each person here did their own research with what they wanted to do. But for the character creation, we went through my Session Zero method and found out who they were as a human, found out what clan would have embraced that human, and that's how we became what we were. And that's how these characters created. Now, there was a lot of research from some of the players. I didn't do any research. I didn't have to. Because I'm the storyteller, I let them design their humans. But I do highly recommend watching our Session Zero method that we used for this one and for Windy City. You'll see Ravenous Archon in it, as a matter of fact. He did we did one, just me and Verlin, but the better stream, honestly, is the one we did with Ravenous Archon and Gray and Red Ben Powers because it was updated and better quality. And,
it is under our Storyteller Tips playlist, so please check that out.
Yep. It's about 3 hours long, but it's really good because it's a unique way to do Session Zero that makes...
You're working along a timeline and kind of making choices at pivotal developmental stages of that person's life that will lead them to eventually embrace into the clan that they are.
Right. You find out what person they were, which is important.
Mm-hmm.
It's a more in-depth choose-your-own adventure before you get to the role-playing game.
Yep.
It's incredibly brilliant because not only is it helpful, like I said, one question really changed the trajectory of this character, but it helps the storyteller map out the events of the world. So it gives them a better understanding of what was happening in that timeline for them to recall for you if you need it moving forward. So it's fantastic.
C Sharp Fritz asks, is there a website or repository somewhere where the backstories for these characters we're hearing tonight? I will want to refer back during the next season. Unfortunately, we don't have a website, but we have them posted in our streams on these cards. And we can make sure those are posted in the Dark Ages chat in our Discord, and pinned so you can refer to them there.
Yeah, because I suspect they'll change as we get later seasons. We'll be updating the bio slides that appear above my head, but we'll post those bio slides in the Discord. I'll pull them off.
I totally meant to once we started the season and just forgot. So thank you for that.
Look, I still haven't even gotten the Windy City character sheets posted, so we'll get to it.
It's on the list. Swear, we just have a lot on our plate.
Yeah, it's been a rough couple weeks. Okay.
Yeah, we had a plumbing disaster in our house that flooded 3 floors. So yeah, we've been dealing with that.
Good thing your house is 4 floors tall, right?
No, 3.
3 floors. It's just the studio's on the other side of the house, so it wasn't leaked in.
Yeah,
because that would have upset me, and the insurance would have cried harder.
Yes,
because we have an extra coverage for high-tech equipment because of the studio.
Yeah.
So they would have had to pay full value, no depreciation on everything in the studio.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So we were very fortunate that was on the other end of the house and not this one. But yes, we've been dealing with people coming into our house every day to check moisture levels as they're trying to dry us out. And also demolition happened on yesterday. So yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, it's been something. I'll give it that. I wouldn't. It's fun. Dwarf Fortress
and
fun.
We've been casting for our Kansas City Chronicle, so that has taken a lot of mental bandwidth as well.
Yep.
Hey, speaking of, can these characters make an appearance in Kansas City?
It's a question of survival that long, isn't it?
Well, challenge accepted.
Hey, Nosferatu are good at scurrying and digging tunnels. We should be fine.
We are all playing clans that are noted for finding ways to survive.
I mean, all my games are in the Shankyverse now. For like Demon, because Demon has a set end where the world fucking ends. It's like a split timeline, but not because like Franklin and Windy City found out about the demons in Demon, and we took that forward. So there's a bit of fuzziness about the canon timeline, but
doubt we're gonna change like really serious fucking canon shit. Like I'm not going to murk fucking Micah Vikos before he turns into Sasha Vikos.
There's a lot of weight behind history that it's tough to totally change history.
Right.
But there may be small bits you change.
I may murk him after he does his bullshit in America. Okay.
Hey, that's gonna start a collection for Snatcher.
I think we'll see more of, rather than changing history, I think I'll see more of the players here taking actions that lead to the history as people know it. Right. Like in the case of Moncado dying to Fatima, which is
Elena's going to have a hand.
Which is Elena's sire and Augustine's sire dying to Peregrine's sire. I can see Peregrine, Augustine, and Elena
plotting,
and the rest of this coterie plotting and helping to arrange that.
Except Miguel, because Miguel...
I don't know. I think Miguel would even... No, I think Miguel would even plot on that one because he's an abomination of the church.
That's true.
He has corrupted what the church is.
Canonically, Moncada's cathedral is got parts that exhibit true faith. So,
but true faith doesn't have to be in God.
Miguel might be distracted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the Leviathan did a bit of heavy lifting on that, just for the record.
Yeah, I know. But someone's been in Moncada's presence recently and knows about this Leviathan, which is just good intel.
Just lie to his face. Moncada's not that scary. Not
All you
like
need
I
is what,
lucked
4
the fuck
dice?
out.
How much dice did you have?
You're correct. 4 dice.
Oh yeah, all you need is 4 dice.
Yeah.
Lick-
Three
lick his
successes on
face.
4 dice, and I
Snatcher's still
managed to
happy
lie to Moncado.
At beating Mankado, who had 8 dice.
Yeah, just give him a finger gun too when you do it.
God, he has 8
How?
dice for subterfuge. Hang on, let me see
Yep.
my chart.
Is Elena
I might
gonna
have
practice?
him matched.
I don't have.
Is
8
Elena gonna
dice.
start practicing to lie her ass off?
I am 1 die short of his pool.
I don't
Good
even
luck.
have
Fuck you up.
subterfuge.
Apple didn't fall far.
Yeah.
Can you also rouse to make
Well,
it
he could have
crazy?
roused
Because
too, but-
V20
Rounds
mechanics.
too,
But I don't believe it. He was just asking questions. It wouldn't have been in character for him to rouse
right.
just to
Suss you
take
out.
just to take confessions. That'd be kind of
Yeah.
weird.
Peregrine
Yes.
learned a very important lesson. Do not become baptized. Period. Don't become baptized. He can't come to you and talk to you about any confessions. I'm not baptized. It doesn't matter. Hashtag
You-
never baptized.
You say that now.
Yeah. I say that now.
But when he grabs you and dunks you in water, and
Can't confess to what I haven't done.
All right. I don't see any additional viewer questions at this time. Is there any other cast questions before we wrap this
yep,
up?
I got one. Favorite scene, favorite part of season 1.
Oh, shiza.
I'm asking it for Astro because he always says that. He was in chat earlier. I think he may have gone to sleep or he may not be around right now. Favorite scene of season 1.
Oh man.
I have one, but it's 2 scenes.
Go for it.
First, I caused a horse stampede. God damn it, that's funny.
Yeah, we got demonetized for that episode.
What? The horses were just moving towards
No,
the
people
fort.
got just flat out brutally murdered.
Not my fault they can't dive out of the way. A stampede of horses is pretty easy to see coming.
C Sharp Fritz says, burn the whole town down.
That was one
It
scene.
was fun for me to play.
And also, when we met Lucida and Anatole,
Mm.
that was just fun. Anatole makes Snatcher very nervous because Snatcher has a lot of religious guilt tied into his fear of God, but still.
I really enjoyed the scene where we pissed off that Ventru in the first city.
Rolling.
God, and that scene felt so rocky to me, too.
I fucking
Because we were
loved
also
it, though.
getting into it.
Yeah, but I fucking loved that scene. It showed that all of us were on the same fucking page of not letting that bastard get that girl. I fucking loved that scene. I'm not sure if it was my favorite, but that was my first really, like, that stood out to me that we instantly synced with that goal. And then I fucking loved the appearance of Longwing. I love crows and ravens. I love them. I love them.
And that's one of those things that was one of my improv things. Is there a bird around? Fuck it. Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, I fucking love that we have a Korax. I fucking love it because I love crows and I love ravens and like I love them and it makes my witchy little heart happy.
And I like to have him in there because I get to unleash my real ADHD.
Yeah, be a spaz. Mm-hmm. A spaz and a motor mouth. Yep.
And yet, despite all of that, they're still the best messengers you will ever find under Gaia.
Yeah. But then I
Without
can
fail.
randomly say whatever shit pops in my head because, hey, it's a Korax. Of course he does.
Yes, he does.
Look, when you fundamentally can't lie, saying too much is inevitable.
As someone who has played Vampire through several editions, it is always fun to have a interaction with a werewolf where you can look them in the eye and have conversation without having to worry about, or maybe worry is the wrong, not worry, but without having a set of claws rip your throat out.
Yeah, there's
So-
a lack of immediate threat.
I try to do that in a lot of my streams because I know that the litany and everything, and they talk about it's all worm and werewolves hate vampires. Maybe it's a society, but there's individuals that may not agree with that. And the ones most likely to interact with a kindred are the ones who don't agree with that.
Yeah.
So that's why you saw in this one, Galen was willing to talk to you. He didn't like you, but it didn't matter if he liked you or not.
No.
He was willing to talk because he would get something out of it. In Windy City, you saw Tendon Ripper, because there should be some that don't follow, we've got to murder every kindred. Why? They're individuals. They may have a belief. They may not like you. Some of them may like you even because they're individuals. They have personalities. And I know a lot of streams I've seen where you get one of the two. Either it seems like the werewolves love kindred, or every time a werewolf gets brought up, it's murder time.
Yeah.
And I like to throw that, curves into that. It shouldn't be murder time or I love you, I'm going to have a werewolf in my coterie running with me. No, there should be some that don't like you but are willing to deal with you. Some may like you. Some may want to just murder you.
And some may want to get fang banged.
Yeah.
Because that shit feels good.
Well,
Hey, we play this game because of bite fetishes, y'all.
I can feel every Silent Strider's nose. Collectively, the blood vessels just burst.
Two
as
kinds
you
of
said
people in this
that.
world. Those that have a bite fetish and those that lie and claim they don't have one. No, that's not true, but it's
we're
good.
just teasing.
I don't have a bite fetish.
As you eat a banana sideways.
yeah,
You bit that with a fetish.
I did that for a commitment.
that
That's
was not a good roll of your 4 dice, my friend.
such a chalky feeling on my teeth afterwards.
Other people's favorite scenes or favorite scenes. We'll go with that.
Oh man, I know that somebody really enjoyed the bee dance moment.
That was on our. If I know I'm probably forgetting the name. Emily B, I think it is. Something I know
YouTube,
it's something like that on our YouTube.
But the moment where I twisted the guy's head around just to prove a point,
That was so good.
I was like, the faces I saw were like, yeah, I'm not the same La Sombra that Berlin's playing. I'm a different breed.
Yeah, you are.
Snatcher didn't see it, but you made Maddox blue screen for sure.
Even I was kind of taken aback by that, but I roll with it.
Okay, Junie, favorite scene?
That's what I've been thinking. I have several, and I'm trying to. I really like the growth that I did for Peregrine when she actually gave up the tablet and having that talk with
that
Miguel.
was so good.
To actually kind of say, as much as I want to keep this and preserve this, I know I have to give it up. I think that was a good scene. That and the old woman.
I loved grandmother.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that scene.
I did too. That was actually
And-
one of them I considered, but I figured you'd go with that one.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed those two scenes the most. I think my favorite impromptu one was coming up on Augustine after he had burned down the two cities, and he's like, I think something happened here. Not quite sure. And Peregrine's like, really?
Your sister's rubbing
Really?
off on you.
Hi, Kettle. Pot's right here next to me.
I'm
Damn.
racist just because we're the clan of black.
No, Shadow. Get it right.
Oh, my bad.
Damn.
I'm
What
sorry.
color is shadow?
Shades of gray.
Charcoal.
Here, clean
Nah.
the shade.
Plop, plop. Booyaka.
All right. And Paige.
Hang on, you didn't say yours, Mama.
Yeah, I did.
You said the
Yeah,
same one
she
as
started
Peregrine?
off with it.
I literally said about the Korax and
Oh, yeah.
about the intro scene where we fucked up that venture
Look,
plans.
a lot of people covered good ones from me. One of my other ones that wasn't mentioned here. What happened with Snatcher when I threw his ass in the Umbra?
That was so good.
Oh yeah, fuck you. A K-Knight should never be in the Umbra. What the fuck,
Because
Shanky?
Snatcher, Maddox the player, knew exactly where he was and how bad it was.
Mm. Horrid. Horrid. It's like, oh my god, what is this saturated nightmare?
Hey, but Maddox, you never have to go into the Umbra again because they don't allow it anymore in Werewolf 5th edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, Werewolf 5th
don't
edition
say
doesn't
that.
exist on this channel.
Nope.
Other than probably
They
the
have a
clan
5th edition
renames
since when?
or the tribe
Thank you.
renames. We'll probably use some of the tribe renames because some of the tribes were problematic by name.
Yep.
But other than that edition doesn't exist.
Yo.
But oh god, I'll admit I sort of blacked out on that scene a bit too. Like I knew, okay, I'm in the Umbra, but I genuinely don't remember any of the descriptions you actually said for what I saw. So when Snatcher's going back and explaining what he saw, that was me making shit up about how I picture the Umbra, not what I actually heard you say. So I'm sorry about that.
That is the best way to do a scene.
Yeah. You
My
said
brain
what the
fog
character
kicked in big
processed.
time there.
Yeah. Yeah. You verbalized what your character processed there. And it could be completely different than what the storyteller told you.
Like, fuck, I need to go back and watch that scene just so I can see what you actually said, because I genuinely don't know.
It basically was really fucked up and you could hear spiders.
Not spiders,
Yeah,
rats.
I remember the
rats,
spider bit. I was like,
you could hear rats.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like lots of rats because you did a summon. And literally you heard all the rats.
I never played Werewolf.
Every
I haven't
rat.
even read much about the Umbra.
Yeah.
The way I did the Umbra for mine is a combination. You could see the influence from Wraith of the Shadowlands, but also because the Shadowlands are considered a near Umbra, and there's levels to the Umbra. I take the Shadowlands. I just dial up the notch a bit.
Paige did ask, Vico is the worst, but Shanky is playing them stable so far. It's my fave VTM canon character. When you play canon characters, how much research into them do you do? There have been a lot of them so far. I'm going to be real with you. Shanky doesn't do
No,
research.
wait a minute. That's not quite true. On the canon characters, I read the
You don't
bios.
know how to spell research?
I read the bios and the character sheets. Now, on Vikos, at the time Vikos is not the monster.
He's still young.
He became later. The book even says in this era, Vikos is very personable, very pleasant.
Yeah.
Tries to win people over through schmoozing, basically through diplomacy.
Mhm.
This is Vikos before Vikos went way into Vikos, but Vikos is still a Zmitzi. So anything he does for you
It's to his advantage.
is for his advantage. He's always looking for the edge, but this is Vikos before the deep end and the instability kicked in. So that's why you see the way he was acting. For all of them, I just read the bio sheets and then I put my spin on it because I never believe, like if you read Lucida's bio sheet, even for Dark Ages, it doesn't show her the way I showed her. I show her she was being a brat. Why? Because she was a rich, pampered girl who got embraced.
Yeah.
This is before Moncado has beat that out of her. So she is still a spoiled little brat the way she's acting because I read through its description and I was like, okay, this is a guideline. No. Anatole, I played him slightly different than what they listed because you always got to put your own spin on it. Even a canon character. Every storyteller should always put their own spin on the canon characters because otherwise it's a carbon copy of what everyone else is doing. So always put your own little differences to it. Zelios, slightly different than what his canon was at the time, but I use the basis of what's written. It talks about the role-playing hints about the how they look, the mannerisms, and then make it yours and twist what you think would be better for it. So that's how I handle that.
Yep.
Oh yeah, suspiciously pleasant. That is exactly
Fucking spot on.
anyone who interacts with Mycos should have all the red flags going off immediately.
Elena's head is doing this the whole fucking time. It's like, fuck, okay, I'll take the ring because I know you're playing a fucking game and I will meet you at that game.
Even Radu, who was being very pleasant with you all, the moment he talks to the mortal people around him, you saw who he really was. He is the, ruler absolute of his land. Vikos wasn't even that way with his people because he's putting on a show.
Right.
Vikos is a fucking monster later. But right now, Vikos isn't pure monster. But
He's
that
still
edge,
growing into himself.
Vikos is still in the phase of, I can put on this face for everybody and try to be everybody's friends while planning to stab them all in the back when they're not looking. Later on, Vikos realizes I don't have to even play that game anymore. I can just do what I want. So that's why you see it the way it is right now. And you'll see that going through all of it. Watt Tyler, when they meet Nova Arpad, when they meet Hardestat the Younger, who's playing Hardestat the Elder, you'll see a lot of that where I take the basis of what's written for them, but there'll always be a shanky angle to it because I don't want it to be the same as everybody else. I think every storyteller, as a storyteller, if you run into a canon character, there should be something that makes it slightly different than everyone else's, because that's what makes your world unique. Otherwise, you're just carbon copying. I mean, otherwise, I could just go run a D&D module that one of the 20 of them I still have from second edition, you know, because everyone who ran a second edition module is pretty much the same. I could do that with Vampire, and that's not what I do.
Yeah, you to convert a D&D module to Vampire.
I'll do that.
Two more horrors in Vampire. Let's do it.
No, I knew exactly it was going to go to Rock's Fall. Everybody dies. I knew it.
No, not Rock's
instinctively.
Fall. You climb through the hole in the wall, and it's a black hole. Sphere of Annihilation you crawl through. There goes that group.
Yeah, Tomb of Horrors was designed with the idea, hey, death is fun.
It's not.
All right. I'm going to call it for tonight, y'all.
Yep. We've hit our 2 hour, just over 2 hours.
Yep.
Nice.
Which
with
is
no break, and I need to go to the restroom. So thank you so much, viewers, for your questions. We appreciate you. And thank you, cast, for coming and answering questions and asking good questions. Thank you.
enjoy your month off from before we come back on September 20th, other than what we have to do behind the scenes to map out 50 years. But that's not going to be nearly as much as, every week us sitting here in costume.
So Wednesday, September 20th, 8 p.m. Eastern is when season 2 of Vampire the Dark Ages, Glimpses of History returns.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to it. And as always, I'm going to go through my outro here, try to do it quick because Mama's got to pee before she wets herself in the studio, which is a bad look. Join us on our Discord. We cast our shows from the Discord. Not everything's a casting call. There was no casting call for this one. This was an invite game because we had a certain kind of story we wanted to tell. So we, had a cast in mind. And I will say that everybody who I offered to accepted for this cast. So that's the way it is. But Wendy's our Kansas game, that was a casting call. The Monster Hearts casting call. There'll be some other casting calls. A Broken Tales casting call coming up at some point when I'm ready for it. Old God Appalachia casting call because I'm going to do that one too. So join our Discord. We also do Zoom Hangouts. We did one this past weekend. For those wondering what's said in them, sometimes we talk about the show. Sometimes we talk about life. Sometimes we talk about what's going on. We talk about whatever in the fuck people want to talk about.
Sometimes we have people that are going to be storytellers for the first time, or even people who are looking to brush up their skills, ask questions, and we are happy to talk shop.
Yep. Because you'll find, depending on the week, there's a lot of people from different backgrounds that can give you different points of view on how they do things. So definitely join the Discord. You want to catch back episodes? Pop over to our YouTube. That's where all our World of Darkness and all our other shit is. Unless you want to see the Call of Cthulhu or Ishvel D&D 5e, that's on Tissa's channel, which is Ishvel. And that's our British DM. She runs her own YouTube channel for her videos. So, yeah, it's not like she's missing out on any monetization money because, well, shit keeps getting demonetized around here. I don't know what's going on with these players, damn it. You want to see some amazing content creator? Check out our friends like Junie down here over at the RPG table, Ravenous Archon on this channel. We'll come back to that in a few minutes. Let them do their thing. You want to get some studio merch? Pop over to Azazel's shop. We don't really make any money on this. Trust me. We've yet to make a payout yet, even though people bought a bunch of stuff. Yep. There it is. No cowards here.
No cowards
That's
here.
from the werewolf game.
I loved making that for y'all.
Yep. That was from the werewolf game. Log in when you go to Zazzle, though. I know people hate getting an account, but get an account, log in.
Please.
Some of our
because
stuff
some
is
of our
18 or
merch-
older.
Yep. Some of our merch is 18 and older due to language.
Yep.
Because we can't have swear words on the general merchandise that has to be labeled as adult.
Yep. Camp Wish a Motherfucker Would.
Mhm.
Your camp counselor t-shirt. You got to have a thing for that. You want to support the players, bits and donations. They go to the players, not to the studio. It's a way for you, the viewer, to give something to the players. Trust me, we don't make much money on this. The players, it costs money to be in these streams. You may not realize it, but costumes, equipment, even if they have their own stream, time, costumes in particular, books, that kind of shit, that costs money so everyone you see in any of these shows, they're not doing it. They've not doing it for free. They've lost money doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So bits and donations, they go to them. If you want to support the studio, because I'll be fair, it costs a fuck ton of money to run a studio. You can subscribe here on Twitch or subscribe on our YouTube.
or donate to
or
our
donate to our coffee. Nobody will ever get rich. If we start making it, getting rich, we'll be dividing that amongst the players too.
Yep, we will.
Because we'd love to pay our players let's be fair,
wage.
we'd love to play them at a decent rate per episode, but we already lose thousands of dollars a year and we can't sustain doing that too. I'm sorry. And now my wife can give the schedule before we find out where you can find everybody else.
All right. So coming up over the next week, we have on Saturday.
She's off.
She's off.
Mhm.
Okay. Wow. So really there's nothing coming up this week. So yeah. Okay. So Saturday, Tess is on break for her Call of Cthulhu. So there's no stream. On Sunday, there will not be a marathon stream of Windy City After Dark because Shanky and I, after years of not going anywhere due to the panini, we are finally going to go do something. We are going away for a ghost paranormal investigation. So we will not be returning late in the afternoon on Sunday from that and will not be able to stream said marathon. So, yeah. And of course, we won't be back here on Wednesday because that's going to start our month-long break where we'll be returning on the 20th. So tune in. Is she back the following Saturday?
Tiss is back the 2nd of September.
Okay.
But our marathon will continue on the 27th.
Okay. So our marathon will be back on Sunday, the 27th at noon. So enjoy your week off from our content and join us back here a week from Sunday.
Yep. And we'll be back to that. I know we try not to have gaps like that with our content because content creators, you got to be making content. But hey, Mama and I got a ghost hunt to do. And there's no way in hell I'm driving 3 hours back from Pennsylvania and then rushing to try to get up a marathon. It's not happening.
Not happening, y'all. Not happening.
For my own mental sake, it's not happening.
We need the break, so we're taking a little mini vacation.
Yep. So now we'll go around and let people say where you can find them. Zach, let everybody know where they can find you.
You can find me on my website because that's where I have all my stuff. It's going to be there. It's not going to disappear. I'm not going to get banned because apparently on X they're starting to ask people to give photo IDs, and that's why I got rid of Facebook a couple years ago. But yeah,
supposedly
my link
that's only going to be people who want that blue check mark still. So you're paying $8 to show them your license.
Either way, I'm not dealing with that bullshit. I do not have my link to the Blue Sky up there yet, but it's also Zach Rules as it is on various other places. So yeah, website, my stuff is there. By the time we come back, there's going to be a Kickstarter that I'm going to bug y'all about signing up for, as it was announced on Monday that Onyx Path is going to be kickstarting a book that I wrote on, Scion, Titans Rising. That will be coming soon. But if you want to follow on any of my socials that I use, you'll get notices of when you can sign up here and that kind of thing. And I'll also go through a link for my friend Travis, who is running a Kickstarter for a Savage World game called Odyssey and Overlord, 2nd edition. Something that he's been working on for a while. And support my friend Travis. Go for it.
Awesome. Thank you. We love sharing games here. So,
Okay, Junie, let everybody know.
Oh, hi. I'm Junie. I live on the internet. So do you. Hi. We're neighbors. You can find me pretty much on any of the socials. I have a link tree that you could definitely connect to. I have a stream here on Twitch. I am also on the RPG table. I'm on the Ravenous Archon table. I'm on the Shiza. I'm on too many places. Yeah, no. Well, I would mod at that, and I'm also on Roll Call. So look at Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, where I'm at that day. Thank you.
Maddox, let everybody know they can find you on our Discord. I know.
Well, no, Will first.
Don't.
Yeah,
he's the one from Florida.
Oh,
wow.
I don't know how to take that comment.
Florida alphabetically goes after Colorado, so I'm giving him a chance to go first for once.
Oh,
snap.
And I appreciate that because I did live in Colorado. It's a beautiful place. But hello, everybody. I'm the Revenant Sarkon. I have my own Twitch channel here where I run Vampire 5th Edition on my channel on Mondays. We just came back to Legend of the Five Rings on Tuesday, which is going to alternate with Werewolf of the Wild West. And every other Thursday right now, I run a 7th campaign where you can catch Junie and more of that German bullshit that she says come out of her mouth.
Scheiße.
I have found I have found finally a game to run in concurrency, alternating on Thursdays. But as soon as I have art, I'll announce that. You might see a prequel of it on the McStabber, so there might be a casting call going up in a little bit. But that's going to be really interesting to see. And I can't wait to come back to Augustine and see what happens in Belgrade.
Okay, now you can do your thing, Maddox.
All right, where can you find me? You can't. Sorry.
I found you.
Fucking valid. Fucking valid.
No, technically he found us because he joined our Discord
He
from
did,
Wraith.
but then I found him other places, and I also recently sent him a game because I adopted him. So
Yes.
and
I'm
I
already getting
spoil my
spoiled.
children.
Okay.
You can find
But-
Maddox on our Discord. You got questions for Snatcher? Hey, Dark Ages chat on our Discord.
Yeah.
Telling you, join the Discord.
Seriously, join the Discord. Chat with us in Dark Ages chat about this stream. If you've tuned into other streams, we have channels for public chat on those streams set up. We also have a wonderful, friendly, almost family-like community there. Really, it's a wonderful place. I love the community we have built around our streaming content.
Even our streams that aren't showing anymore, some that have ended, still have chat rooms. We keep those for historical purposes, just so people can, even if it's over, they can ask questions about it, because, that's the way to do it.
And thank y'all for all the bits. The players at this table do appreciate that because it doesn't go to me, doesn't go to Shanky, it goes to them.
We just take the taxes out of it because
I always,
holy
at the
shit,
end
the
of
taxes
season,
hurt.
like to give some bits to my players because while we can't afford to pay you per episode, I'm willing to give you something. So,
Which, with inflation's means, not even enough to buy McDonald's. But
I love
'cause
y'all,
McDonald's
and
is
I wish
expensive.
I could pay you more.
May I add a small addendum to the end of this here?
go ahead before I do
So
my mental health thing.
Yeah, it's a short one. Recently, I got a scam email and it nearly fucking ruined me because I'm an idiot. But please, folks, check the emails of the things that are sent to you because more often than not, like me, you're getting sent shit from fucking Russia. And you don't need that. Don't trust your PayPal shit. Don't trust your Spotify. Those are the two I've seen the most lately. Just double check when people are like fraudulent, charge this and canceled account that. Please.
Thanks for
Jokes
the
on
gift
them. I don't
subs,
have a
Zach.
Spotify.
You're
Thanks
the
for the
smart one.
gift sub, Zach. As a cybersecurity professional now, I will tell you, watch what you click. No matter what the email is, watch what you click.
Seriously, if you think it might be legit, go to the site directly. Do not click on a link.
Yep. That's the first rule.
That is the best thing. Don't click on an image. Don't click on a link. Go to the site directly if you think it might be real.
Yep. That's the first rule of cybersecurity. I can say that now because that's what I do cybersecurity stuff now.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for years, but now it's
you're
official.
officially security.
So, and I do thank everybody for coming. Let me finish up my outro so Mama can go hit the bathroom. Please, everybody, take your mental health seriously and take mental health of others seriously. Check in on those around you. Please make sure they're okay because a lot of people are not okay. And it just takes a friendly lifeline, a voice, somebody just saying, hey, are you all right? A check-in to help them out and to make sure that they're okay and get them off a ledge. And if you suffer from mental health issues, like a lot of us do right now, it's a tough time. And please reach out to your own support network. And I know a lot of people don't have a support network because it's life. And you may not want to share it with people around you. You may feel you're a burden. First of all, you're not. But in chat's a list of numbers you can call or text 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There'll be a professional on the other end of the line so that you can have them as your support lifeline, people. And if you're not in the U.S. or you're watching this on YouTube, findahelpline.com. You can put in your country of origin and find all the help you need for that country that you're from.
Including the U.S.
And please, I beg of you, if you are in crisis, contact one of these numbers.
Please.
Please. And I'll turn it over to my wife so she can give her part before we end. But before I do that, one other thing. Up to 91 indictments. That's all. Or 91 charges pending. That's all.
Yeah. So with that said, please make sure you are a registered voter. And if you have registered in the past, check your registration, please, because the GOP is notorious for fucking around with Democrat voters' registrations in red states and red counties and such. So please double check that as we're going into election season and primary season. Also, word of advice, you can do a Google search on this. I meant to have the link to post, but Democrat leadership in the House have supported a anti-choice Democrat in Texas, in southern Texas, for the primary down there to be a representative for Texas. He was ousted basically by the Democrats because of his anti-choice stance, but now all their leadership's behind him. He has a progressive opponent. Establishment Dems have backed the anti-choice. You are the company you fucking keep. One of them was my reps, Steny Hoyer. Fuck that guy. He needs to retire. And I've told him such.
Term limits and age limits. I'd love to see that on our elected representatives across the board. I don't care what party, everywhere.
Search Dems support Kular in Texas. You will find out if one of your reps did so. And I strongly suggest sending a strongly worded email to your representative and spreading the word, because they are no allies to women, even the women that supported it. Said with love and a bit of righteous rage.
And I do thank everyone for coming, and thank you for this season, especially to the players and you, the viewers. We don't do it for the numbers, but I will say having a bunch of people watching and enjoying the show, we love it because we love to share the stories.
And I'm going to circle one more time because I meant to say this. Please make sure you're registered. Make sure you vote in your primaries, because that is how you choose who ends up on the ballot to be voted for. So please vote in all elections, even primaries. Said with love.
So thank you, everybody. We will see you, for the Windy City Marathon in a week and a half, and for this in a month. And good night, everybody.
Thanks for the hype train. Good night.
Thanks for the hype train.